It is a little drizzly this morning, but I thought I would come take a video just to show how fresh and green everything's looking in the spring garden. And I'm also going on a little trip tomorrow. I'm going to be gone for about 4 to 5 days. So right here in this section, we have the beautiful rose glow barberry. You can see all that wonderful new growth, kind of the bright pink tones coming in through there against that dark foliage. We have one of the butterfly bushes just getting some buds ready to go here. I expect by the time I get back that these will probably be showing their true color. I did cut back some of my salvias. These ones here, this is the Violet Riot. I did cut some of the salvias back just because my veronicas are basically in full bloom now, and they're kind of taking over the show. Certainly don't have to cut the salvia back, but it does encourage like a second set of growth to come. So I'm hoping that the veronica will take over for now, and then when they're done, the salvias will come back in. This is a beautiful milkweed plant, the butterfly weed, orange flowering. You can see these are just getting ready to burst open. I will definitely miss these. And this daylily, I forget the name of it, but it already had one full scape bloom. This is just the last little guy in there. I don't think my panicle hydrangeas are setting buds just yet. It's still just a little early. Oh, I take that back. There are some buds starting to form on the Firelight Tidbits. Also looks like we have some sort of fungal issue going on over here. How wonderful. Oh, got the Monarch. I don't know the variety of this one, but you can see those buds just bursting. This is the veronica that I was talking about. Beautiful blue indigo color. It's so vibrant, especially next to those yellow and chartreuse toned foliage plants. Behind that here we have the variegated irises. I don't think I've ever got these guys on camera before because they come and go so quickly. But they sure are pretty. My little baby blue spruce has put on, gosh, about 4 inches of growth. Looking super bright now. And I have seen a tiny little sparrow come and go every time I come over here, so I have a feeling she is making a nest in there somewhere. You can see some of the daisy maze all budded up. They will probably welcome me home with a nice set of blooms. I also cut back the catmint recently, again just to encourage another set of blooms to come. But they still look pretty nice, even after being freshly cut back. They still have a little bit of color to offer. I was able to add my boxwood right here and the other one behind the tree. So now we have a little more of that uniformity on both sides of the driveway. I did trim them just to kind of get them back into shape a little bit, as I did with the boxers on this side too. I can't remember if I did that before I shot the last video or not, but there they are. Got some of the serendipity allium starting to go, which is super duper early. It seems like I always have one group that just is way ahead of the others, and this year it's over here. I did get my little sign to encourage the delivery drivers to use the path. And I don't know if it's actually helping, but I like to think that it is. This is the, I believe, a little Henry Sweetspire. All these little racemes are opening up for us. And usually when this is blooming heavily and it's not raining, you'll have this covered in bees. And then I changed things up just a little bit here. I had a Sweetspire, or sorry, not a Sweetspire, Ruby Spice Clethra, right where this new hydrangea is. I relocated the Clethra to the shade garden, which is around the corner here. I'll probably peek over there and show you. But I decided to put another summer crushed hydrangea right here. And I also added in some, I don't know the name, some sort of a red heuchera on both sides. I think it's cherry truffles or something like that. I also had an astilbe that was getting just covered by a huge hosta in the pond garden. So she is now out here. I just transplanted her like right when she's setting her buds. So she is a little unhappy with that, but hopefully she rebounds okay. We've had so much rain. I'm hoping that that really helps. Let's see, anything new over here? The Joe Pyeweed is nearly 2 feet tall. I did transplant out some of my zinnia seedlings here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I believe these are the Senorita mix. I also pruned back all of my euphorbia, just cut the bracts off. I like to leave the bracts on just because they have a little, nectar to provide the early pollinators. But once my salvias come into bloom, I kind of let the salvias take over, and then I cut the foliage off the euphorbias so that they have a chance, the new growth has a chance to push out. This is the Caradonna salvia, looking really magnificent. I was sitting on the porch the other day and just admiring this beautiful purple color with my Jordan Japanese maple there. That is just a contrast I will never tire of. You can also see the St. John's wort. Definitely had a big growth spurt since the last video. Lots of buds on here. I love how the foliage looks with all the water droplets on here too. And you can see just a few buds have opened. So Ruby Giant, coneflower, probably another week that will be open all the way. And my lilies, my oriental lilies, these ones are probably going to start blooming while I'm away, of course. And I hope they're still here when I get home. So many of them. And look at this. That one's probably going to be the first to open. Great color combination here again with that Veronica with the Ogon spirea in the back. You can see this other variety of Veronica starting to open up. Definitely not in full bloom, but we're getting close. The other lilies, these are the Casablancas. couple of buds coming in, but I think they're a little bit later to bloom than the stargazers. This is a lollipop verbena bonariensis. What an unusual looking plant, right? And the Kismet raspberry coneflowers loaded up with buds. There's another milkweed tucked in here. And my phlox, my flopping phlox. I love this, like the color and everything. I love that they bloom so early, but they do not hold up in the rain. I have had to trim off this entire front section simply because it was just laying out into the sidewalk, looking like a big mess. The veranda cream rose did bloom, and it was so pretty. And it does look like we're getting another little growth spurt coming on here with this red foliage. So hopefully we'll get a couple more buds. I did cut back the Peggy Sue irises. I decided I'm not going to divide this section out like I was going to. I think I'm actually gonna dig out this one allium and put it somewhere else, maybe on the other side of the driveway, and then just let the path open up on the other side a little bit more. But I definitely need to do that sooner than later. Granada Gold, all the buds on her. Little Blue Star Juniper. And the Daisy Maze on this side. So close, so close. And this is one of the double scoop bubblegum coneflowers. And she's getting ready. I actually have one that's ready to go. I gotta put her in the ground, but she's already opened up her first bloom. Not fully open, by the way, but definitely looking beautiful anyway. I don't think I captured this in the last video, but this is where I have transplanted all of my hot colored flowers. In this section here, I have the Sangrita coneflowers. I divided one plant into 3, so there's a little grouping of them there. I have the Indian Summer Rudbeckias right here, and then the Mango Popsicle and the Fophia on the corner. And then there's the Arizona Apricot Gaillardia sort of interplanted in between everything else. So at least this corner has something. I don't really love this section, but it's definitely better than nothing. And then this corner, my Butterfly Kisses coneflowers. I cannot believe how many buds I am seeing on these things. My gosh. Can't even count how many. This one too. And then this is an allium that I picked up later in the season last year called Bubble Bath. And it's supposed to be very similar to the Serendipity, but it's like twice the size. So the blooms are twice as large and the foliage is a little bit taller. Artemisia. This is such a fun, soft texture plant. Really beautiful. All of the milkweed in this pot has just jumped out. I have collected a few Monarch caterpillars. I was fortunate enough to actually see the Monarch April 30th. She came to visit and I got egg bombed. I guess I probably had close to 50. I did harvest about 40 for myself. I have them in 4 separate containers, 10 in each enclosure. But I wasn't able to take them all in. I have to limit how much work I can provide because they are a lot of work. They don't look like it, but when they get bigger, they are a handful. So there are a couple out here in the wild. There's another one right here. You see that one? I thought I saw another one out here too. some more milkweed. This is the butterfly weed. Yep, there's another one. They're all over the place. They're so cute. Oh, another one. Goodness. All right, well that's it for the front yard. I did want to take some time to show you some other areas that I haven't really shown before. And yeah, I guess the front yard, or the front door. I guess we can talk about this for a second. The hydrangeas that are flanking the sides are bloomstalk hydrangeas, so I think we mostly have acidic soil here, but even so, I still get a lot of blues, purples, and pinks. It's usually a nice mixture, but I do love it when they're in this phase. Pretty much all of my macrophyllus are looking just like this, where they sort of have this like limey green bud situation going on, and it's exciting to see all these blooms that are going to be here soon. And this Hosta is a rainbow's end, and we've also got some lamium underplanted alongside, I think that's a wild rose heuchera. I think those look so pretty together. On this side, I have a couple other hostas. I don't know the names. I think that kind of brighter one might be called Frozen Margarita. This is another type of heuchera. It is not wild rose, but it is another kind of a deeper purple one. Also have the Mojo Perisporum. You can see all this new growth. Hopefully you can tell kind of those brighter tips are all the new growth. And hopefully someday these kind of grow to, I don't know, a small little hedge right in front. Emperor 1 Japanese maple. She's weeping just a little with all this extra water weight on her leaves. She's so pretty. I do need to come back in here and just lightly prune up my boxwoods, which literally look like a big pile right now. Shape them up just a little bit. I did get my impatiens in here, and you can see the bedding down over here, just the pinks and the whites. And then I have just random little groupings of them around this section here. These azaleas were super loaded with flowers this spring. You can see one hanging on, but they were this kind of like reddish pink color, just beautiful. And the Vernera, so shiny. This is one of my favorite shade plants. It looks so good with hostas, and I just love that silvery color. All right, and then coming around the corner here, we have this giant clump of liriope. This was here when we moved in. And I swear that thing has doubled in width. Something I probably will eventually move or get rid of at some point. We used to have a southern magnolia tree planted right here on the corner, but it took on significant damage during a winter storm that we had a couple years ago, so we had it fully taken down. I do intend on putting something there, but I just haven't figured that out just yet. And yeah, this is the side yard, or the shade garden. It's kind of a narrow, long border on both sides that I'm working on. Yeah, it's coming along. Right here we have the variegated euonymus. This was planted in the front yard the last couple of years, and I just transplanted it over here because it does okay in part shade. We have this beautiful ground cover This is the Burgundy Glow Ajuga. It's got this beautiful like gray-green with that kind of purple and also white variegation through here. I put about maybe 12 to 15 plugs in here in the fall last year, and so they were just kind of polka dotted in just randomly, and they just completely spread out this spring. Little like light pink or light lavender bloom on that too. I have a couple of Korean spice azaleas in here. I do think we are dealing with some spider mite issues on these leaves, so I have sprayed them with I forget the name of the spray, but I've got to get this under control. These always look good this time of year, and by the end of the year they're just dropping leaves everywhere. This is a Macrophylla hydrangea, white flowering one. I don't know the variety, but we only had one big bloom on this last year, and now look at all these buds, all these wonderful little flowers to look forward to. She has really filled in and just taken over that spot. Obviously I need to continue working, get some more stuff in here. I've already got the drip irrigation set up in here though. We just need to come back in and mulch. That's kind of the story with every single flower bed that I have. Gotta come in here and mulch. On this side, I had 2 leatherleaf viburnums over here, and I took them both out because they were on the struggle bus since I planted them. I'm not sure what went wrong, but they were looking really, really bad. I replaced one with a Golden Duke hemlock. This is a beautiful little kind of small evergreen. I think they get like 10 to 12 feet tall. It says 10 feet tall. You can't really trust the specs on these things. I'm sure eventually it will outgrow what it says, but little guy there. Got some more ground cover here. This is the lamium again. I just added this spring, so eventually this will just be a nice full thick carpet of beautiful silver foliage. Lamium is also in the mint family, so resistant to the voles, as is the ajuga, which is why I love both of those evergreens or ground covers so much. This is a hydrangea that I got it on like Mother's Day like 3 years ago, I believe in 2021, and it was just one of those like bouquet kind of gifty hydrangeas that you see, and usually they don't like rebloom. You just kind of enjoy them for the time that you have them for, but I put it in the ground anyway, and this is the first year 3 years later that it is going to bloom, and I'm so excited to see that. One of the Hosta dogwoods here. Let's see, the other one is right down there on that corner. I guess let's start on this side here. Some more of that white phlox, my flopping phlox. It is pretty, it just cannot handle all the rain. We got some more Brunnera in here. I did plant in 2 white flowering rhododendrons back there. There's like a pinkish yellow hoopla rhododendron in there too. That one will take some time to get some size on it. This is where my Orangeola maple has found its home. I hope it gets enough sun here to get its like color, because it usually looks a little more vibrant than that, but it is early in the season, so maybe when the sun gets a little warmer, it'll turn its beautiful color. There's the other variegated euonymus, and then we've got this beautiful, I really, really love this heuchera. This is called Carnival Cinnamon, and I just love all of these beautiful tones in here, and my goodness, a big dandelion. Let me at least get these flower heads off. Gotta get a shovel to get the root out. There's also Chantilly lace goat's beard or a runcus, however you want to call it. They're kind of similar to astilbes. And then we have our limelight hydrangeas here. These are kind of in a shadier location. I think they would prefer more sun, but they still do perform pretty well. They still bloom and look really nice. All right, let me backtrack over this way. All right, here I have a new addition. This is a Twombly's Red Sentinel Maple. These are usually a very narrow, upright tree. So I just planted that directly under this window, and hopefully that just kind of fills in from here to there, give us a little bit of vertical interest. And it is underplanted with the Invincible wee white hydrangeas. Just installed these, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, if that. You can see some of the inflorescence here already. I think these, maybe they start white and then fade to pink. I'm really not sure. This is a new one for me. And excuse my mess over here. This is where the Ruby Spice Calethera has found her home. Got a couple of astilbes with their little flower buds getting ready. This one's definitely a little bit farther along, but that one's looking pretty good too. And then we have this beautiful, large, mature rhododendron. This was here when we moved in. This was actually the only shrub that we left on this side of the house. Everything else we removed. Everything was, gosh, we had like Chinese privet and really like pokey hollies. We ripped everything out, and this was the one thing we kept, and it is really beautiful. Also got a silver sword azalea. This had kind of like a beautiful hot pink flower in the spring. And some more of that burgundy glow ajuga. I think I actually have a picture that I took with all 3 of these plants in bloom at the same time. It was just so beautiful. Really nice combination. And then I just love like standing back and capturing this long border here. I know it's a little tricky to see with everything in here, but it's looking good. I've got the 3 radiant abelias. I am questioning this one on the end here. It is not quite bright enough. I just don't see the variegation that is normal for radiant abelias, so I think that one might be an imposter. So I might pull that one out and replace it. I'm not sure. And then this is another summer crush hydrangea. I planted this late in the season last year, but look at all the buds here. She is so happy in this spot, and that will absolutely grow and fill in nicely. More impatiens underplanted the Hosta dogwood. 2 more limelights. These 2 get a little more sun, so they do get a little bit larger, and they perform a little bit better than the other 2 that I showed you. These heucheras here are also from the Carnival series. I believe these are called Carnival Watermelon. And these definitely have more of like an orange yellow tone to them. They're not quite as vibrant, rich red as the cinnamons, but they are pretty nice. I just trimmed off their spent bloom heads just the other day to kind of, I don't know, clean it up in here a little bit. There's a Chamaecyparis Cordalo, I believe, just a nice little evergreen ball, which might need to be replaced, or not replaced, but transplanted to allow the limelights to get larger. There's a Globe Nana juniper there, and we have the lemon coral sedum in full bloom. Hello, yellow. And then this guy here is a euphorbia called Tasmanian Tiger. I really love the color on this. Yeah. Compared to the Ascot Rainbow, these ones seem to lose a lot of the leaves all the way down to the stem. They kind of like get that leggy nakedness to them, which I don't love. This is all the new growth for this year. I will probably eventually come in here and clip off all these stalks just to allow the new stuff to kind of take off. Actually, I already did that here. This is just another beautiful euphorbia. And this is an allium. I literally just trimmed off a seed head from one of my serendipity alliums last year after it had dried. And I just planted the seed head just directly in the ground. And voila, we have a new plant. I don't think this is actually going to flower this year. It's probably just gonna focus on root development, but kind of cool to just make a whole new plant. Here's the daylily. I believe this one is the daylily that was named Space Coast Behavior Patterns and ended up being a mislabeled variety, so I actually don't know the name of it. But oh look, I see the first scape. Cool. And we've got some coneflowers in here. These are the raspberry beret coneflowers. Seeing lots of buds on these. Very exciting. There's a pink lemonade baptisia that is not loving that spot. I think it's getting too much water. And there's also a dwarf purple smoke bush that I really do actually want to bring that to the front because I like that foliage. And then this is our serviceberry tree that, oh my gosh, she has just taken on so much water, lots of weight with that water. But yeah. And now let's go check out the pond garden. Oh, but before we do, I have to show you my junipers. I'm just always amazed how much these grow, because I definitely remember taking a video last year and the point was up to my chin, which is like right here. So they have put on about 2 feet of height. I mean, you can see all the new, like these like kind of skinny pieces. These are all the new growth for this year. These things are really, I don't want to say aggressive, but they're growing fast. I cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. All right, let's go check out the pond garden. The water is awfully murky because of all the rain, and the pond has definitely overflowed. Oh man, and my geranium has splayed out with all this extra rain, my goodness. Well, all right, this red foliaged plant is the black truffle lobelia. I had the one plant last year. I did some research on them and I found out that they are considered a short-lived perennial. So they only return like 1 or 2 years and then they're done. So in anticipation of that, I did make divisions on that and added this one here and this one here. So I'll probably continue that process, and we will always have these here. These were dearly loved by the hummingbirds. You can see the Irish moss that I installed last year is really taken off. I have both the Scotch moss, which is this kind of brighter green color, and the Irish moss in here. And we have millions of maple seedlings trying to grow all over the place this time of year. All the hostas are looking so beautiful. They are loving this rain so much. And the creeping jenny. We consider creeping jenny to be a semi-evergreen plant because it definitely is still around through the winter. It just looks super like weak and brown and kind of icky, but In the spring, it just flushes back like nothing even happened. And wow, I mean, she needs to be controlled. If you plant this in your garden, you're gonna have to make sure you have it in a spot you don't mind it kind of getting out from under you, but it's pretty easy to pull where you don't want it. I think yesterday I was in here pulling it out of the stream because it does try to get in there. But it's hard to believe that this creeping Jenny started from 3 plugs, one here, one there, and one there, and this is what has happened in just a few short years. Coast to coast hosta, some in substance, looking a little bit bigger than it did last year. I think I may relocate the coast to coast somewhere else. That's a project I'll do in the fall once we get a frost and she dies back. But I think these colors are just a little too similar. I really like my hostas to be like a contrast, like they don't mix together too well. I kind of like them to stand out amongst each other. Little ghost fern. Got some mud on it from all the rain. And this is the Japanese painted fern. Not looking so good this year. I wonder if it's needs a new location. And oh my gosh, that water is just so nasty. Big blue hostas. I don't know the variety of these, but aren't these amazing? Let me see if I can get over here without falling. I want to show you like how big these leaves are. There's a big one. This. I mean, these are just enormous. I love it. Oh, and I can see we have the beginning of a bloom stalk forming already, which is just about right because they usually bloom the same time the Astobies bloom. Okay. Well, here's a story here. So we have this ginkgo tree right here with the tag on it looking beautiful. And we also have a ginkgo tree in the pot not looking so great. So our dog Aspen passed away in August of last year. And in memory of him, I wanted to get a beautiful tree because he loved to be out here in the garden with me. And he was like a yellow-white husky mix. And I thought this ginkgo biloba would be perfect because it's also beautiful yellow. And so we originally bought this one here and planted it here, and fast forward, we ended up adopting 2 new dogs. I think you probably just saw Rhea, the white shepherd. And we went home for Christmas to visit my family. And when we came back, they had chewed every single branch off of this tree. And of all plants to do that too, I was just like devastated, you know, because that tree was so special. And so anyway, I decided to replace it. I had to get a new one, so this is the new one. And I removed the old one and put it in this pot. I needed my husband to come help me move it because it is actually heavier than it looks. And lo and behold, this one still has some life in it. Unfortunately, it's going to take years for this thing to start looking like a tree again, but simply because the significance of this particular tree, I do want to keep it and find a new place for it. So anyway, our dogs do have an invisible fence around the entire backyard, and as soon as I came home and saw what they had done to Aspen's memorial tree, I called them and had them come back, and they put an invisible fence around the pond garden, so they cannot get in here and ruin things, because they definitely would have by now. Look how big this summer crush hydrangea is. I think when I purchased that new one that I planted in the front yard, I did like peek at the specs just one more time, and I could have sworn that it said 18 inches tall and like 2.5 to 3 feet wide. This is why you can't trust the specs, you guys. This thing is probably 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. Loves that spot, clearly. Okay, what else? I moved the ruby spider daylily over here. I think that's going to be a really pretty color combination with that really saturated red with that really rich indigo purple blue. Those are going to be really pretty together. I also added the, I had this one like rogue Veronica that was supposed to be blue like the others, and it turned out to be white. So I divided it, and now 3 of them are here. And I also got some bare root astrantia, if that's how you say it, astrantia, I'm not sure, bare roots, and they are starting to flower already. It's my first time growing those, so we'll see what happens. And this ajuga, this is, I think it's black scallop, but I don't know. It was here when we moved in. But this stuff always looks like it's on the brink of death in the wintertime. Like, I always think there's no way this is gonna come back. It looks horrible. And then it just flushes back, kind of like creeping Jenny. It just comes right back. And it blooms beautifully, and it's just this beautiful ground cover. And you can easily like pull it. I know a lot of people get worried about planting a plant like this because they say it like spreads everywhere, and I mean it does spread, but I don't find it difficult to control. I will probably like pull off a couple pieces on the edges and just fill in these little holes that are right through here. No big deal. All right, these are the obedience plants, white flowering obedience plants called Crystal Peak or Crystal Palace, I forget. I transplanted them here. They were in the front yard, kind of in a more shady situation. Now they're in full sun, and now they're in a spot where they're gonna get like moist soil conditions all the time, and I'm hoping that this is the trick. I have had these plants for 3 years, and every place that I've put them, they grow, they bloom, and then they flop. And I can't deal with flopping plants. So I hope that this is the right location for them, because I'm kind of over them otherwise. See our Tamukiyama Japanese maple. The dogs did chew one of the branches off the backside of that thing, but Japanese maples are super tough. They grow pretty vigorously. I did sprinkle in some seeds in here. There's some marigolds and alyssum. Also some of those maple seedlings that will not quit, but hopefully the stuff I want takes over and fills in this area. And then this section, I kind of don't want to do a whole lot of gardening in these beds this year because of the dogs. That's Bodhi. This is Rhea. Hi, pretty girl. They are still in like puppy mode, and they're digging and chewing on stuff, and I'm just not interested in spending money and wasting my time installing landscape stuff and then having them dig it all out. So we're just keeping what was here and maintaining it as best we can, and we'll deal with this a different time. But the Forever Goldie, I can tell, has put on a little bit of growth. Looking very nice. I had to put these pots, these containers around it because my boy dog keeps peeing on it, and I didn't realize, but the foliage ends up turning black if it gets exposed to urine. So, fun times. I also had to remove an azalea that was here because they were chewing on it, and apparently azaleas are extremely toxic, so had to remove that one. Let's see. This bed, I just recently cleaned this out. We've got the Sun King Aurelias, which are actually just a perennial, but they end up looking like a massive shrub by the end of the year. This is their second year in the ground, and hopefully they get a little more size on them this year. I want them to cover this mess. This is our utility, electrical box and stuff like that, and I don't want to dig like anything like a big hole in here for any like large shrubs. But I also want to have these things like die back so that people can access this area if needed. So it's just a tricky area. Hopefully this ends up looking good. More impatiens through here. And then down here, this is our mixed screening border with our small little lake over there. My goodness, that's our low spot. I hope that that ligustrum is okay. I did plant it extremely high, but oof. Okay, so yeah, the variegated shrubs here are the Jack Frost ligustrum variegated. They're really pretty. We have the Jantar arborvitaes right here, definitely putting on some growth. They're looking so fresh with their new color. This was a autumn embers or autumn bonfire encore azalea, and our cryptomerias. That one back there in particular has really put on a lot of height this year. Not a lot of width, but a lot of height. And then our Durahit river birch. Look at this guy. This is one candle from this year. This is at least a foot, if not maybe 13 inches of growth this year. All these candles. That's pretty impressive for this little guy. Very exciting. And you can see the candles on this Vanderwolf. Look at this. My goodness. I'm so happy to see that. It's always a good sign. Oh, look at that. Little bird's nest. Oh, nobody's home. Okay. Some more radiant Sibylla through here, and a fire glow Japanese maple. This is not the original one that was planted here. That one unfortunately got eaten by deer, so I ended up finding another one at a really good price and replaced it. And I do make sure to spray this with the liquid fence pretty frequently to make sure that this doesn't get eaten too. And then our Arizona cypress, all the new growth here. This thing really hasn't grown much, and I thought these were supposed to be pretty vigorous growers, but maybe it just needs a little more time to get its roots established. I did transplant some of my 1 gallon dahlias into their 7-gallon grow bags, and I have recently pinched them back to encourage some more branching, and this is where they're going for now. I don't really have a plan, but let's see. We'll see. Anyway, this is just a rainy day garden tour all around the house. Nothing too detailed, but definitely is pretty, even though it's raining out here. It's very peaceful. What are you troublemakers doing, huh? You're a good girl, baby. Good girl.